Be sure with Pure. The Pure Oil Company, producers, refiners, and marketers of fine petroleum products, presents Who Said That?
Welcome to Who Said That? Television's sparkling conglomeration of quotes from the week's news and well-known people who should, but sometimes don't know the answer. Now your quotes master, Walter Kiernan.
Thank you, and good evening, and a most cordial welcome to you, and a most cordial welcome to tonight's guests of Who Said That. First of all, we have Mr. H.B. Kaltenborn, Dean of News Commentators, who just started a new television program. Give us the time, Mr. Kaltenborn.
7:15 on Fridays.
On Fridays. We also have Dagmar, Dean of Dagmars, who, not content with being the belle of television, has decided to conquer the intellectual side, starting with Who Said That as of tonight. We have Deems Taylor, eminent music critic and author. Welcome back after too long an absence, Mr. Taylor. And we have Frank Kniff, King Features columnist, and our eminent alternate anchor man. As you know, panel, our questions are in the form of interesting quotations from the week's news. Every time you're unable to tell us who said that, you each have to put $10 in the goldfish bowl, except Mr. Kniff, who, being a wealthy man, is permitted to put $20 in the bulb. All the money you lose goes this week to the Easter Seal campaign of the National Society for Crippled Children and Adults, so lose heavily. And now for your money or your reputation. Tell me, who said, "I'm here to see a baseball match. I've never seen a baseball match. Game, you call it. Where is there a good team in these parts? I'm going to be in Washington. Is there a good team there?" Mr. Kaltenborn.
That was Marshall Montgomery on his arrival in this country.
Right.
But actually, he isn't here to see baseball. He's here to inspect some of our military bases and to get some up-to-date information on what's going on in a military way.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll carry that back to NATO over in Paris, and will, we hope, use it to good advantage in helping Europe to arm up.
Mm-hmm. If he sees senators, it will not be the ball team of that name. Huh?
That's correct.
How about that, Mr. Kniff? Would he see a ball team in Washington?
Well, if he sees the Senators, he won't see a good team. And with so many good young ball players in the Army, he may see some talent on his tour of the bases.
That could be, too.
Yeah, there's some fine players.
I hope he gets the Senators straight, that's all. I know there was one Britisher over here a few weeks ago went to see the Senators play and kept asking where was Taft. Who said it looks suspicious to the audience when you put on glasses to do your ad-libs? Dagmar.
Fred Allen.
Fred Allen said that, yes. Right. Hooray for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Fred says that he just doesn't like to do television because he doesn't like to appear to be reading anything. He puts on his glasses.
He said something so clever on a show I was on. I was on with Jerry Lester and him, and they were wearing wigs. So Mr. Lester said, "Shall we put the wigs on?" He said, "No, let's put the wigs on the script." Which I thought was very clever, don't you, Henry?
Yeah, that's very good.
Honey. By the way, Dagmar, do you like to have things written for you?
No, I'd rather just, unless it's the bank.
Oh, that's good, yes.
I would rather just say anything so I'll know it's something new, too.
That's good. That's pretty good. Well, here's something new. Who said the worst thing about so much talking is that it makes listening a rare luxury and thinking almost impossible? Mr. Taylor?
Adlai Stevenson.
Yes, right. What was he talking about, Mr. Taylor?
He was talking about his trip across the country.
Right.
And where he, in an article in yesterday's This Week magazine, he sums up his conclusions as to the American spirit.
Listening is a rare luxury, thinking almost impossible. Are you a good listener, Mr. Taylor?
Oh, superb.
Have to be, to music at least.
Yeah.
Didn't Stevenson mean to apply that to the political campaign?
I think he was
felt that
talking
he
about the
talked too much
campaign.
and everybody else talked too much, and he was right. And I hope we're going to cut our political campaigns shorter because they'll be better.
There won't be as much fun, though.
Well, there'll be more fun for the candidates, and I think a little more for the listeners.
I'm not going to discuss politics.
Well, in that case, let's pass on to the next subject, which is that so far tonight, our guests haven't missed any questions, but we'll try to collect some money for the Easter Seal campaign by stumping them in just a minute.
Well, what have we here? Looks like a hat box? Feels like a hat box? It is a hat box. And folks, that is quite a hat. It's worn by thousands of good citizens in 24 of these United States in business for themselves to help you and your car be sure with Pure. Pure oil dealers are experienced service experts with up-to-date equipment that helps you get the most out of your car. They make a point of giving lots of painstaking personal attention. Go under your hood to see that your oil and cooling system, your battery and fan belt are safe and sure. They check your tires for wear and air pressure, all 5 of them for safety. Doing these things is their business. That's why they do them so well. Count on your Pure Oil dealer for friendly expert service. He's a sure car saver. Stop at the blue and white Pure sign. Be sure with Pure.
Who said, too bad it isn't poison? The world rocks and he talks. Dagmar.
That kind old lady, Lady Astor.
Right, yes, Lady Astor said that. Who's she talking about, Dagmar?
Well, it was at a party that Taft and his wife gave for Eisenhower, and she was talking about Senator McCarthy.
Right, exactly.
I once
Isn't that brilliant?
had to MC a radio program in Tucson, Arizona, where her husband tried to get in a word edgewise and had hard work doing it. And finally, when I was about to sign the program off, she just grabbed my arm and said, "Just a minute." Then she said, "I want to tell you people of Tucson that your town is filthy. It's absolutely filthy. Clean it up."
And you said thank you and good evening, Lady
That's all I
Astor.
have to say.
He talks a lot, doesn't he?
Well, if I had your looks, I wouldn't have to do so much talking.
Isn't that sweet, honey? You just stick around. You'll have him.
I think he has now, but in a
I
different
think
way.
he's very handsome.
Very handsome. Who said the legalistics involved are beyond my comprehension? Dagmar, again.
Frank Sinatra?
Frank Sinatra said that,
I
yes.
like him. He's sweet. He's very thin. I hope I'm not answering too many.
No, you go right
You're
ahead.
doing very well.
I've got a very good seat at this panel. I got the best seat in the studio.
I hope I don't feel bad.
No, I know you don't. What was he talking about, do you know, Dagmar?
Taxes.
Right. Yes, the government slapped a tax lien on him of $109,997. Oh, by the way, didn't you make a trip down to Washington some time ago for the entertainment industry?
Well, I
On
was
a
down
tax
there
rebate
working in
thing?
Washington, and I'm going to try to pass a bill for people in show business. For you, dear, and for you two boys. I don't want to neglect you.
Thank you, dear.
For everyone in show business to try to get their taxes over a period of years. Because they only have from about 7 to 10 years, most of the entertainers. They're not all clever like you. And they have to save their money, you know, if they put over taxes over a period of time. Otherwise, they'll go to the poorhouse. So I'm going to present this bill to Senate and see what I can do for them. Or maybe they can take 10% off the top and put it in war bonds and give it to them. Whatever's fair, I'm for, and I think those little old senators will help me. Won't you, boys?
I can't imagine any holdouts myself.
Thank you.
I think they're all going to the poorhouse in Jaguar cars, though.
You think so? I don't have a Jaguar.
Dagmar card.
Dagmar.
Thank you, honey. You're so observant.
Who said all my life I've urged young people to go into the service of their government, but all these things that are happening make me wonder whether it is fair for me to advise them to do so, to subject themselves to criticism, vilification, which is unfounded and unjust. It's a long quote. Mr. Kniff.
Well, it's nice to get in on this. That was Senator Lehman.
Yes, Senator Lehman of New York.
And he was speaking in Washington of some of the charges and countercharges that are aimed at career servants and whether he would urge people to get in or not.
Doesn't think he should, no.
He's in doubt now, I believe, is the gist
He
of
is,
what he said.
well, he just turned 75, didn't he?
Day before yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure he doesn't mean to prevent young men or to discourage young men from going into the public service. I think what he was trying to emphasize is that there is too much unfair criticism of public servants.
Right.
And there is, of course.
Who said memory is when you look back and the answers float in to who, what, when, and where? It was said some time ago, but it's republished as of about now. Dagmar?
Didn't H.V. say it? Carlton Barnes say it?
No, I don't think so. Did you, Mr.
Not that I remember my own quote.
Oh.
I thought it sounded like you'd said it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That is shameless favoritism.
Well, I'm sorry, honey, but I saw his show on television.
I might have said it,
It's in a poem.
but I didn't.
I
It's in a
should make
poem.
up with you, I guess.
You certainly should.
Was it recalled last week in connection with Queen Mary's death?
No, I don't think so. No. Mr. Taylor, is that one you know?
No, it isn't.
Memories when you look back and the answers float into who, what, when, where. No?
I know somebody said it.
Hmm?
I'm firm on that point. Somebody said it.
Somebody said it, yes.
Yeah, it
You're
wasn't
up to there.
H.B.
I'm
Keltenborn.
with you.
No.
No, it was not Mr. Kaltenborn. Well, looks like we're going to pick up some money here. That was Carl Sandburg. The poem is Scroll. Scroll.
Yeah,
Anyone
Mr.
recall
Manning,
it now?
Oh, I recall it very well. It's in a poem on the dedication page of his new book, Always the Young Stranger.
Right.
And it's a beautiful poem. And why it escaped me, I was too interested in looking at Dagmar. There
That's
you
what
are,
I
huh?
thought. I thought that's what...
Then I should give you your $10 back.
Well,
I have a feeling a lot of things are going to escape you tonight.
well,
This is
I
not
looked
like
at
you, Mr.
Dagmar, and that's
Kaltenborn.
worth $10.
Thank you, darling. You have excellent taste.
Who said if we are to permit the opposition to ruin the reputation of every person that we elect chairman of the Republican National Committee, no one of any consequence will be willing to serve? Mr. Kaltenborn.
Well, I should think it would have been said by Mr. Roberts, who has just been displaced as Republican chairman.
No, it was not said by Mr. Roberts.
Said about him?
Said of him, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then, let's see, who would have said it?
Political figure,
Yeah.
not so well
What
known.
was that again?
Mr. Roberts, if we're to permit the opposition to ruin the reputation of every person that we elect chairman of the Republican National Committee, no one of any consequence will be willing to serve. Mr. Kniff?
I don't know.
No. Mr.
That's
Taylor?
not the opposition's been ruining his reputation. It's been the Republicans themselves out there in Kansas. Governor Landon and his coterie.
Mr. Taylor?
I wish somebody would guess right. I've got
Dagmar,
$10
this is the
that
one
I'd
you
like
don't
to
know.
keep.
You've been
It's,
very sharp.
Ezra Taft Benson?
No. Did
Well,
you get
Dagmar
that steer
guessed
from
that. I'm
Dagmar?
just quoting her.
oh, don't be a tattletale now. Now everybody will know.
Well, I think you'll have to dig again. That was
Oh, well, too goodness.
a gentleman named Wayne Hood, member of the National Committee.
Oh.
He's chairman of the Wisconsin
Never heard of him.
Gee,
State Republican.
Nobody ever heard of him. That's a steal.
Well, he heard of him, and he's going to be a little angry at you if you didn't hear of him. That's all I can say.
I give with a good heart.
Mr. Hood said that. All right, who said nobody should expect to be paid for crops he does not grow, goods he does not produce, or work he does not do. When that happens, somebody is stealing from somebody else. Dagmar.
Ezra Benson.
Yes,
He
Ezra
just told
Benson.
me.
I just told her what she told me on the previous question.
Only
Why
she
did
was-
I think he said the other thing?
I have no
Because
idea.
you were
That's all
thinking
I
of
got
this
anything to
thing.
say.
Was I, honey?
Because you didn't say this one, I guess. Yes, the new Secretary of Agriculture. How about that policy, Mr. Kaltenborn?
Well, it's a sound policy. Certainly, a man shouldn't expect to be paid merely in order to increase his profit. I can see that the government should step in to prevent a man from experiencing a disaster or to help him to recover from a disaster. And in farming, there are frequent disasters caused by weather, storm, other conditions. But I think we've gone in for a policy of subsidizing farmers to the extent that they are almost charity cases, and the farmers themselves don't like it. And I think Benson represents a new line of thought in the Republican Party which is taking hold and which will result in a sounder farm program.
Who said he's shooting a U.S. battleship today and he'll be shooting another battleship tomorrow? Me. Shooting a battleship today, he'll be shooting another battleship tomorrow. Me.
Hey.
May never have been said. I don't know. It's supposed to have been said.
Doesn't make good sense.
Mr. Kniff,
Was that the USS Missouri said that?
that said it?
Yeah.
No.
I remember a real good friend of ours on this panel, Bob Considine. He had a great, not a parody, but a great takeoff on...
No, not the USS Missouri.
Missouri.
Nobody knows who said that? He's shooting a U.S. battleship today, and he'll be shooting another battleship tomorrow. Me. Huh?
What you said about that.
No one knows. More money in the bowl?
That.
Well, what? Dagmar, were you about to say something?
One time I said something about a battleship, but it wouldn't be me.
Yeah, it would be you.
Aren't you ashamed of
It
yourself?
would be you, yes. Oh, dear.
I remember when Life magazine was down
Right.
home in Huntington, West Virginia, shooting a picture, I said something about a battleship.
Right.
But you said it didn't sound very nice.
No, it didn't.
I'm going to talk to you, honey.
And don't talk to Kniff. He asked if it was the USS Missouri said it.
Well, look a bit like the Missouri, so I retract it.
No.
All right, honey. You all do whatever you like.
Well,
No.
I say,
When
show
was
me.
that, Dagmar? That was some time ago.
That was about 2 years ago.
That's what I thought.
In July.
We knew it was from Life, but we didn't know what issue it was.
Well, it's just funny. When he said it was silly, I got to thinking about it.
If you thought about it before, you wouldn't have said it.
Wouldn't I, honey? Yes, I would, because the photographer did shoot a battleship before he shot me.
Oh?
He did. That's
How
why
did-
he was late getting in Huntington.
Well, all I know is that you appeared in Life and the battleship didn't. So one of his pictures came out.
Yes, I'm glad. 'cause
Well, I
he-
would have called you a destroyer instead of a battleship.
He is observant, isn't he?
Is your wife listening tonight, Mr. Gilmore?
She is, I think, down in Florida.
Oh, you...
I'll send him home early, honey.
I'm not sure it's the right thing to do to send him home at all until you get clearance. Think you should get clearance first, Mr. Gilmore?
No, I'm cleared for life.
You're cleared for life, huh? Well, the only married man I know has a permanent pass. Well, for the benefit of those who joined us late, I'd like to present again tonight's guests of Who Said That, Mr. H.B. Kaltenborn, Dagmar, Deems Taylor, and our alternate anchor man, Frank Kniff. Who said, in the spring, a young man's fancy lightly turns to thoughts of love.
Well, that, Walter, was Alfred Lord Tennyson. You know, some folk thoughts turn to the open road in the spring, and I'd like to turn your thoughts to spring, the time to change the oil in your car. The time to change to Pure Lube, the Sure motor oil. You see, Pure Lube is superior in not just one or two ways, but in every which way. In the whole combination of qualities that keep your engine safe, clean, and happy at its work. So change to Pure Lube now at any Pure Oil dealer. That's the place, too, you know, to get Pure's Sure Spring Changeover. That all at one time complete service that readies your whole car for the months ahead. Yes, in the spring, a wise man's auto surely turns to the sign of Pure. Thank you, Walter.
Now, let's take a look at the scoreboard. The scoreboard shows we have used 10 questions. The panel has missed 2. We have collected $100. Now, tell me who said, I didn't think some of those fellows would make it. If they're not careful, they won't live to be venerable. Mr. Kaltenborn?
Well, that's down my alley because it was said by an old man. And it was Senator Green of Rhode Island.
Right.
I've known him for a good many years. He's very proud of his physical ability, which defies his years. He's really a remarkable physical specimen for a man of 85. And he was leaping up the steps to the dome of the Capitol in connection with some committee that was examining the dome. And he was ahead of the others and making much better speed than they. And then he made that rather boastful utterance. He must be careful about his heart because he may think he's in fine shape, but when you run upstairs at the age of 85, you may collapse and pass out.
How old are you?
Much younger, Dagmar, much younger.
You want to tell your age?
Well, I'm not bashful about it, but still...
You don't have to tell it, honey. I'm the same way.
I'll tell mine if you tell yours.
I'll lie about mine.
Well, let's pass it up.
Okay. We better be safe, hadn't we, honey?
Yes, rather than sorry.
So we end on a note of no comment. The 2 participants. Who said there has not been in any living memory a figure more widely known or more universally honored? Mr. Kaltenborn.
Well, that was Winston Churchill in his fine tribute to the late Queen Mary.
Right. Very good.
And one would expect Winston Churchill to pay a fine tribute to so great a woman and so wonderful a queen.
Did you ever meet the Queen?
Yes.
Kaltenborn?
And saw her at a time when she was just beginning her reign with King George V. I saw them both in March 1914 in Paris at a gala performance in that beautiful opera house there where she and King George marched up that beautiful circular stairway of the great Paris Opera with all the lights extinguished and only candles, and the uniformed concierge of the opera walking backwards up those marble stairs ahead of them, and here was Queen Mary with her crown on her head in a beautiful brocaded gown with a long train and two stalwart lines of guardsmen standing on both sides with swords at attention, and it was as magnificent a picture as any that I've ever seen when that royal couple marched up those stairs to go into the foyer of the Paris Opera.
And after that ad-lib commentary, we know why you've been in radio for 22 years.
What was
32?
That was beautiful.
32.
May I ask a question?
Magnificently done. Mr.
Certainly,
Taylor.
honey. You go ahead.
What was the show that night?
It was a mixture of one act from each of 5 operas.
Sort of a palace theater show.
Yeah. May I ask a question, Waller?
Obviously.
Where was Senator Green?
That
You there?
night?
Yeah.
Bounding up the stairs of the Capitol, I guess. I don't know.
I haven't been to Europe, so I don't know a thing about that.
Have you been to the Capitol?
In New York,
In New York will do.
yes, and in Washington, but I haven't been into Europe.
Who said this is corny, but it's been proven to me that hard work pays off. I'm the result of almost 20 years of it. Keep punching, keep healthy, take your vitamins, listen, 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 really listen, and you'll learn. Dagmar.
Rosalind Russell.
Rosalind Russell, yes.
Saved you $10.
Doing a swell job in a wonderful town. Is that good advice for musical artists, too, Mr. Taylor?
Definitely.
Hard work.
Hard work.
Listen, listen, listen. Really listen. Do musical artists pay much attention to critics?
Only if the critics are favorable.
Oh.
Otherwise, they call it destructive criticism.
Oh. None really ever thank you for some tip that you give them?
2 or 3 of the big ones have, yes.
When you give me a good write-up, I'll thank you, honey.
No matter what I say.
Yes, I'll thank you. Because if it's your opinion, that'll be all right.
And I'll spell your name right.
Thank you.
That's the important thing.
Yes.
Is it?
Certainly.
Well, I didn't know that.
Oh.
I've never done a musical comedy show yet. I'd like to do
I never
Daisy
reviewed
May.
one yet.
Daisy May, wonderful.
I'd like to do because if no one minds, I'd like to say a few words about Huntington, West Virginia.
Well, why don't you?
I'd like to. That's my family are watching tonight. Hello,
Oh.
everybody. My mother and father, my brothers and sisters are all watching, and I'm a hillbilly. That's
How
why I
many,
like-
Dagmar?
Well, I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters. There's 5 of them at home tonight watching.
What a Nielsen we get in Huntington tonight.
Yes, they're all watching. I'll call you all later.
Any message you want to give now? I mean, the tolls are probably high, you know.
No, I understand that you can't talk directly to anyone on television. It's against the law.
No, you can't do it.
I can look at you and talk to them. That's all right. I did want to say hello, though.
What's one of your brothers' names?
Well, I'd have to say all 3 of them.
Oh, tell me who your brothers are.
Well, my brothers are Jack Egner and Bobby Joe and Danny, and my sisters' names are Jean, Marianne, and Teresa. And mine is Dagmar.
And yours is Jack.
And Mother's name is Spicy, and Daddy's name is Ray.
Spicy?
Isn't that cute?
Love
And
it.
she was born in Sugar Tree, West Virginia.
And name's Spicy.
Now, everybody thinks I'm kidding, but that's true.
No, most people are born on the ground. That's a new one.
I think it's very unusual. She married Daddy on the school bank.
Really?
She was a school teacher. I think we better get off my family now and talk about theirs.
All right, let's get back to the program for a moment,
All right.
huh? Shall we, just for a moment? Who said England anticipates that, as regards the current emergency, personnel will face up to the issues and exercise appropriately the functions allocated to their respective occupation groups? Said ironically. Mr. Kniff.
That was A.P. Herbert.
Yes.
And he said it in an ironic commentary on how official channels would have expanded that England expects every man to do his duty.
Right.
That's the way it would have come
That's
out.
the current translation. That's officialese. England anticipates as regards the current emergency. I love the way he drew that one out there. Here's an unusual type. We're not going to charge any penalty on this one because this is a timeless one. This is not in the week's news. We just wanted to have some fun, see if anybody recognizes it. Who said, if one hears bad music, it is one's duty to drown it by one's conversation? This is not a current quote. Said many years ago. It's in literature, with which I think you're all familiar.
Shaw might have said it.
Who?
George Bernard Shaw.
No, it's not Shaw, Mr. Calmoran.
We used to have Shaw on every program on Who Said That.
We changed. We have a new writer. One hears bad music. It is one's duty to drown it by one's conversation.
Ernest Newman once said any music worth playing at all is worth playing badly.
That's good. We'll use that next week. Come back. We'll use it next week.
I don't know.
No. No one knows that one? Huh?
Do you know that one?
I know it. I have the answer.
Oh.
Well, one is glad
Oscar
one
Wilde.
has...
Oscar Wilde. There's no penalty on that.
One is glad there is no penalty for one.
One is glad there's no penalty.
That
He
was
had
sweet,
it in
thank you.
Portrait of Dorian Gray. It occurs in there. One hears bad music. It is one's duty to drown it by one's conversation. Would you say that, Mr. Taylor?
Yes,
Would you really?
if you can hear the conversation. I'd say shut the music off.
There are times the conversation
Turn the
is better than
dial.
the music.
I'll sing and you talk. That's what he meant, isn't it?
Well, depends on how loudly you sing.
You don't mind me talking to him, do you, honey?
Not at all. Not at all.
I just wanted to be
I'm
friendly.
listening in.
Who said the other one, Dean? Someone said something once about opera would be wonderful if it wasn't for the words in it. It would be wonderful without lyrics or something. Well, it's not important. We
Mark
can't
Twain
use it
said it
anyway.
wasn't as
I
bad.
just want to say now that next week on Who Said That, we'll have one of the foremost character actors of our country. We'll have a distinguished actress. We'll have a columnist just back from Africa. And we'll have our alternate anchor man just back from Danbury, Connecticut. Perhaps you can guess their identities from those descriptions, but I'll give you their names in just a minute.
Be sure with Pure.
From America's oil wells on faraway plains, by pipelines and tankers and railway trains, from modern refineries then on to you, we keep quality high, so you're right when you buy, where you see, be sure with Pure.
Yes, be sure with Pure. For at your Pure Oil dealers, you're not only giving your car the very best products possible, you're giving yourself that sure feeling when you drive. With Pure Premium Gasoline, you can be sure of quick starts on cold mornings and plenty of power when you want it. Pure Premium is the power fuel.
Be sure and you'll find driving peace of mind. Be sure with Pure.
Next week, our guest will be Charles Coburn, distinguished gentleman of the screen. We will have June Lockhart, distinguished lady of the legitimate stage, and of Who Said That. We'll have Robert Ruark, Scripps Howard columnist, just back from deepest Africa, and Frank and If, as I said, just back from deepest Danbury. Thank you very much, H.V. Kaltenborn, Dagmar, Deems Taylor, and Frank and If, and thank you for the money in behalf of the Easter Seal campaign of the National Society for Crippled Children and Adults. I'll be here again next week to try once more to fill the goldfish bowl. Thank you all for coming. Good night from all of us on Who Said That?
Tune in next week for Who Said That? Brought to you by your friendly Pure Oil dealer and the Pure Oil Company. Be sure with Pure.